Far beyond the shoreline, where the North Sea never truly rests, a radical idea is being forged. Not on paper, not in boardrooms alone, but in the relentless winds and shifting tides themselves. This is not a project built to serve one country, or one power grid, or one decade. It is a blueprint for a new energy era anchored in the open ocean. Imagine a structure born from the sea, rising against storms and salt, built to gather the power of hundreds of spinning giants scattered across the horizon. Electricity flows into it like rivers meeting at a delta. There, it is shaped, strengthened, stabilized, and prepared for a journey far beyond national lines, traveling across borders to light up entire cities, fuel industries, and support millions of everyday lives. This bold hub is Denmark's answer to the future, a solution designed not just to harvest energy, but to tame its unpredictability, share its abundance, and secure Europe's green transformation. It carries the weight of hope, ambition, and responsibility. The largest and most daring construction effort the nation has ever attempted, both in scale and in consequence. But a question hangs in the air like fog rolling in at dawn. Can an idea this colossal withstand nature's fury, the strain of rising costs, and the fragile alignment of multiple nations working as one? Deadlines have slipped like sand through fingers. Materials cost more. The ocean offers no mercy. Cooperation demands diplomacy as precise as engineering. And still, the vision stands firm. A shared offshore grid, a connected continent, a cleaner tomorrow built on the hardest sea in Europe. Before we go deeper, hit subscribe and drop a like, because support like that powers this channel to keep exploring stories that matter. Denmark wasn't always a poster child for renewable energy. For decades, it relied on fossil fuel imports to keep its homes warm and its nights bright. But urgency changes nations. The pressure of climate commitments, the risks of energy dependence, and a global shift toward cleaner power pushed Denmark into reinvention mode. It didn't tiptoe into the transition. It sprinted. The first country on Earth to lock its climate goals into law. A promise to slash emissions dramatically within years and erase them entirely within a generation. Renewables became the core, not the accessory. And wind, fierce and plentiful, became the crown jewel. The North Sea offered perfect conditions. Shallow waters, constant gusts, vast empty space. Offshore wind farms grew rapidly, soon delivering a major portion of the nation's electricity. But expansion revealed a bottleneck. Every new turbine cluster needed land-based substations, coastal cable routes, permits, public approval, and years of debate. So Denmark flipped the equation. If land is a limitation, move the solution away from it. Build the grid at sea. Create a central power nucleus offshore. Let the cables reach countries instead of countries hosting cables. The plan was approved in 2020. A natural energy hub in the Baltic and an artificial energy island in the North Sea. The latter quickly became the beating heart of Denmark's renewable strategy. Originally envisioned to collect 3 gigawatts of power, enough to meet national demand. Then grow to 10 gigawatts, creating clean energy surplus to share internationally. But the sea complicates everything. By 2023, early estimates for the island platform alone climbed toward $8 billion. Then global material inflation, manufacturing delays, and supply chain congestion pushed the total forecast past $31 billion. And the completion target stretched into 2036 at the earliest. The location sits roughly 80 to 100 kilometers from Denmark's western coast, in waters around 30 meters deep, a zone already mapped for multiple wind farm clusters. These turbine fields will act as the island power sources, sending alternating current through subsea cables into the hub, where it is converted into long-distance friendly high-voltage direct current. This design mimics the structure of a solar system. Turbines orbit. The island collects. Cables radiate outward like energy beams, linking Denmark with partner nations, capable of moving power in both directions depending on demand. A leap forward is the concept of multi-terminal HVDC, a new frontier that allows power to be routed dynamically between several countries at once, instead of simply traveling from point A to B. This could eventually evolve into a mesh-style offshore grid, resilient, flexible, interconnected. One early preview of this future is a proposed Triton Link, a hybrid subsea cable system linking Denmark's hub with Belgium's offshore energy platform. a partnership that hints at a future where countries no longer trade energy, but share it in a truly unified network. Now comes a physical question. What shape should this island take? Engineers have two leading paths. One, a sand-based landmass created by dredging, packed down, and fortified with rock or retaining walls, a process demanding an unimaginable volume of seabed sand. Two, a system of massive pre-built concrete or steel modules assembled offshore, like building blocks dropped onto the ocean floor, connected piece by piece. Each approach carries strengths and vulnerabilities. Sand is proven, but must survive erosion. Modules are adaptable, but require global manufacturing capacity that is already stretched thin. The likely outcome may blend both methods into a hybrid strong enough for the sea and flexible enough for expansion. Inside the island's perimeter will sit a floating power station ecosystem, converter halls, transformers, control centers, backup systems, fire protection, desalination units, landing pads for helicopters, maintenance workshops, living quarters for rotating staff, and even recreation areas for crews who will live offshore in shifts, just like workers once did on oil rigs. The challenges ahead are not small. Cable manufacturing delays are creating global shortages. Specialized ships must be reserved years early. Auctions designed to avoid subsidies have already failed. International politics must align, survive election cycles, and negotiate shared revenue models. Environmental protection, marine traffic, and fishing zones must all coexist with construction. None of these obstacles alone can kill the project, but together they form the storm Denmark must steer through. If completed at its full potential, this energy island will be more than infrastructure. It will be a grid evolution. Fewer coastal cables, fewer community disruptions, smarter energy balancing across countries, less wasted wind power, more efficient turbine clusters, a repeatable model for other offshore hubs in the future. It is not just Denmark's experiment. It is Europe's prototype. And if Denmark manages to anchor the future in one of the harshest seas on the planet, this island could become a defining symbol of 21st century energy transformation. The sea has always shaped Denmark's identity, but now Denmark wants to shape the sea in return. Not to tame it, not to own it, but to work alongside it, to build something that turns nature's chaos into Europe's lifeline. This island is a paradox of stillness and motion. The structure itself will stand unmoving, rooted to the seabed, while energy around it surges endlessly. It will act as a silent conductor, translating raw wind power into a shared electrical language, one that nations can understand, exchange, and depend on. If successful, this hub could unlock a new philosophy, one where energy infrastructure lives far from crowded coastlines, freeing nations from geographic pressure, one where collaboration replaces isolation, one where the ocean becomes a shared power corridor instead of a dividing frontier. There is symbolism here, too. Denmark, a small nation, is attempting something world-scale, not with domination, but contribution, not with emissions, but elimination, not with fossil dependency, but renewable leadership. And that is the core of this story. It is not the steel or the sand or the cable stretching hundreds of kilometers beneath waves. It is the audacity of imagining something bigger than borders, bigger than budgets, bigger than storms, bigger than the doubts that greet every revolution. Because revolutions never begin when conditions are perfect. They begin when waiting becomes more dangerous than acting. The North Sea energy island still has years of planning, negotiations, construction battles, and financial recalibration ahead. It is late. It is expensive. It is difficult. It is controversial in parts and uncertain in others, but it is also necessary, hopeful, and potentially historic. And someday, when clean electricity flows from sea to city, from Denmark to distant countries, powering homes, hospitals, businesses, and electric vehicles humming through European streets, the world may look back at this chapter and say, this was the moment the grid stopped ending at the coastline. This was the moment energy sharing became energy uniting. This was the moment the sea became the source, not the obstacle. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of the most ambitious offshore energy concepts ever imagined, show some love with a like, and subscribe for more explorations into the project shaping our future. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and thanks for imagining the possibilities with me. The next big story is already out there, and I'll meet you there in in the next video.